People often ask me, Derek, when should I be worried in sales? And it's a pretty good question, actually, especially considering there's a lot of things for us to be worried about right now, right? Now, before I go into my answer, just want to let you know that I do have a 5-day free sales training course that I'm giving away on my Sales in 21 Days website, www.salesin21days. Be sure to check it out. Okay, now to this question. Derek, when should I be worried in sales? Well, here's my answer. You should be worried in sales if you're not doing any of the 4 critical things that you should be doing every single day. Let me take you through them. The first thing that you must be doing, and if you're not doing it, you should be worried, is prospecting. Now, prospecting is an interesting word because people have mixed ideas of what it actually means to prospect. When I'm talking about prospecting, I'm talking about doing an activity that would generate prospects. Now, that doesn't mean research. That doesn't mean doing things on LinkedIn. I think way too many salespeople spend too much time on LinkedIn. And that means you're going on there liking people's posts or just researching about people. Research does not equal prospecting. Remember that. Prospecting is tough. And usually if it's something that scares you, it's probably the best thing to prospect. The number one way to prospect is cold calling over the phone. So there's a lot of people out there that are trying to find other ways to prospect outside of that. You're wasting your time. If you want to be successful, you got to cold call over the phone. So I want you to think about that. How much of your day are you spending doing things that are really a waste of time and you're thinking that you're prospecting doing it like LinkedIn? And how many of it are you actually putting yourself out there, getting nervous, feeling the fear of things like cold calling? The more you feel that fear and that nervousness, you're probably doing the right things. That's going to get you closer to what you want. So the first thing that you should be doing, and if you're not doing this, you should be worried, is prospect the right way. The second thing that you should be doing every single day, as much as possible, is you should be having meetings with clients. And that means meetings on your computer, because right now we need to be doing that in order to still have professional meetings. And you should be ready to do that fast. So you need to learn the webinar software. I'm a big fan of Google Hangouts since that's 100% free as well. And it's really easy to use. So if you don't know how to use something like Google Hangouts, just go to google.com/hangouts and you can start a webinar right away. If you want to be great at setting appointments, you should feel really confident at being able to run the appointment as well. So the second thing you must be doing every single day is appointments. And those should be first appointments. That's not you're meeting with the same customer for the 5th time that week and you're counted as 5 different appointments. Think about each appointment that you go on as one appointment for one prospect. So how can you maximize your week filled with appointments with new prospects or different prospects? That's the way you got to be looking at it. So the second thing you got to be doing, like I mentioned, is running appointments with new prospects. So the first one, prospecting the right way, cold calling, great. Second thing is running appointments every single day with new prospects. Okay? What's the third thing? Well, the third thing is presenting proposals. Now, I just said presenting proposals. That doesn't mean doing proposals. If you're doing proposals during the day, that's a waste of time. You need to be doing the proposals outside of normal business hours. And right now, the business hours that we're experiencing are a little weird because most of us are at home, right? We're at home and we got kids jumping in. In fact, my kids could jump in while I'm doing this. But when are we doing proposals then? Well, you should be doing proposals before you start the day, before the kids are probably up, and after the kids go down at the end of the day. You're in sales, and in sales, we don't have a clock. We don't punch a clock for when we start, when we finish. We just got to get things done. And you need to be looking at it saying, during the day, your best use of your time should be on appointments, talking about your products and services, right? Meeting with customers in these webinars, which like I mentioned, Google Hangouts is really quick to do, really easy to set up. And then if you're not doing those, you should be running appointments, right? Now, like I mentioned, the third thing though is presenting proposals. Now, this is obviously pushing the sales cycle forward, but if you're at the point where you're presenting a proposal, that's a great use of your time throughout the day, during the day, because you're actually presenting your products with numbers and you have a chance to close the deal, right? So make sure you're using the time during the day wisely and have a scheduled time to present a proposal. Too often I see sales reps and even sales managers not have a set time scheduled in the calendar to present a proposal. Do you have them already? Well, look at your calendar coming up this week and next week. If you have all these people that are waiting for you to present proposals to them and they're not on the calendar, schedule them right now. You'll be amazed about once they're in the calendar, how much quicker you put them together and how much more effective you get. But it also helps you really clear your mind saying, I don't need to be working on that right now. I can work on that in 2 days because the customer can't even meet until next Thursday anyway. So you can spend this time working on prospecting, right? Prospecting or the other meetings that you have to try to push other deals forward. Okay, that's the third one. So the third one is presenting proposals. That's a good use of your time throughout the day. The fourth thing that I have in here is implementations. You've got to make sure you're following up with your customers. So that means you sold a deal, you got your product out there, your service out there, whatever it might be. You've got to schedule time to check in on them, see how they're doing, make sure they're happy with everything. Too many salespeople get a bad reputation because they sell something and they're never heard of again until they're ready to sell something again. So you need to put it on your calendar specifically to follow up with your customers, make sure they're happy. And that is also a really good use of your time. Plus, if they're happy, they're in a prime state for you to be talking about other services that you may have been holding off on talking to them about until this perfect situation, right? So schedule that in. Also, with this whole implementations, which is the fourth thing, make sure you're not spending the entire day following up with the customer and install. Just spend enough time to check in because you don't want to be taking the time away from the rest of the day, which in case you could be presenting proposals, running more appointments, right, through webinar, and of course, prospecting, cold calling on the phone. So let's review the four that I just talked about. The four that if you're not doing these, you should be worried about sales and how you're going to do. The first thing is implementations. How many implementations do you have? I would look ahead at this week and the next week in your calendar and just ask yourself these questions. Just go down the checklist. How many implementations do I have scheduled for this next week? Where I'm checking in on deals that I sold. How many are in the calendar? Do you have any? If you don't, that's okay. How many proposals are you presenting? Specifically presenting that's scheduled in the calendar. Do you have any in there? If not, do you have any that you can set right now just to get it locked in? Great. Schedule those. Now let's look at the next thing. As you notice, we're going backwards here. The next thing is how many meetings do you have scheduled? How many appointments do you actually have scheduled? You should judge the quality of your appointments by the number of new appointments that you have, not you're meeting with this customer 5 days in a row, right? You need to think about how many new customers are you meeting with every single week. So look at your calendar that way. Now that you're done by looking at your calendar and all those things that are scheduled, you got to ask yourself this question. Is there any free time during the day that's open now? Any free time whatsoever? And if there are time that you haven't blocked out in your calendar that's not filled up with any of those other things, what do you think you should be doing? Prospecting. That's right. And that doesn't mean messing around on things like LinkedIn and feeling like you're getting somewhere. I'm talking about doing things that scare you, that make you nervous, because those are the things that actually get the results for you. That's where you actually start making the money. So I would maximize the time throughout the day doing that if you have any free time. So those are the four things that I recommend you do. And every single day you're maximizing your time on those things, then you really never need to be worried about how you're going to do in sales. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy and in the world. Those sort of things are going to result in you being successful and you becoming a top salesperson and making all that money that you want to make. So I mentioned earlier that I've got a free 5-day sales training that'll help you be that top sales performer. It'll actually help you make money right now. And I have it on my website, www.salesin21days.com. I recommend you check it out. It's 100% free. It's my gift to you during all these crazy times. It is the first 5 days of my 21-day program. If you see value in it, then great. We can always talk about the rest of the program. But why don't you just start taking this? This is something else that can help you. That also, if we talk about the times you should be doing this, you probably should be taking those courses outside of regular business hours, right? That's when you work on yourself getting better. Either way, I hope you stay safe and make sure that you spend time on the right things so you never need to be worried about where you are in sales at any time. Have a great day.